Season and crop reports show that the land under these varieties shrank in nearly all districts in the past decade. The findings indicate these districts consume fewer nitrogen and potassium-based fertilizers compared to the majority of delta districts. He is not willing to take the risk of increasing native variety cultivation without marketing channels and depends more on high-yielding varieties cultivated in the remaining portion of his farm. Tamil Nadu's paddy paradox, uphill battle for sustainable alternative in Kaveri Delta. In Tamil Nadu's 7 rice-growing delta districts, local varieties are cultivated in scattered patches alone. An organic farmer in Nagpattinam district with the seeds of Kallurundai, a traditional rice variety. Behind her is her farm, to be prepared for sowing. An organic farmer in Nagpattinam district with the seeds of Kallurundai, a traditional rice variety. Tamil Nadu's Kaveri Delta cultivated rice for millennia, but the environment alarm bells are ringing to suggest that the time may be up for major-scale rice production. In just a few decades, intensive cultivation methods have transformed nearly everything in the region with potentially irreparable outcomes. It has increased water usage even while the Kaveri River conflict starved water resources. The delta is nearly drained dry today and its soil lacks nutrients. Nutrient-rich native varieties that maintain the soil and the farmers cultivating it in good health have all but vanished. Kaveri Delta, the largest delta of South India, is vital for Tamil Nadu's food security. This is the third installment of a series of reports on rice cultivation in the region by Navya PK and delves into solutions. Viramni N., a Mayiladuthurai district farmer, cultivates 3 indigenous paddy varieties in a section of his paddy field, all of which are famous for their medicinal values. One among them is Karuppu Kavuni, a black rice variety suitable for diabetics, which is selling at record prices in Chennai these days. Part 1 and Part 2 of this study showed that delta farmers are in the throes of a disaster. Their groundwater is depleting and their soil is being exhausted by intensive cultivation of high-yielding paddy varieties since the Green Revolution. Contrarily, indigenous rice varieties require less water and no chemical inputs. They are healthy for consumers and the land, and command better prices for farmers today. Viramni claims his profits from high-yielding and native paddy varieties are on a par, with about 20,000 rupees an acre. But this ex-school headmaster utters a gentle, unyielding no to the question of whether he plans to scale up his cultivation of native rice. Since the days of COVID, demand for native varieties have rocketed in Indian cities on health grounds, but delta farmers find it very tough to cash in on the boom. Thus, the majority of farmers think that native variety cultivation would be unprofitable or even risky, and continue to cultivate high-yielding varieties that have driven the region to the edge of ecological disaster. To know why farmers such as Viramni are saying no to local varieties, we looked into what pushed them to the brink in the first place and how the government's poor appreciation of the high ecological costs, sloppy record-keeping and lack of adequate investment in building a sustainable market for local varieties are keeping millions from switching in large numbers to crops that represent one of the very few potential paths to conserving water, rebuilding the soil and ultimately, saving livelihoods. Following the Green Revolution, the monocropping of high-yielding paddy varieties in the delta replaced native rice varieties almost completely. The cultivated area under these varieties remains marginal. Of the 7 delta districts where we are conducting our analysis, Thanjavur, Thiruvarur, Nagpattinam, Mayiladuthurai, Tiruchirappalli, Pudukkottai and Kadalur only to cultivate native varieties today, based on the state government's season and crop report, 2022 to 1923. But even in these 2 districts as well, they cultivate less than 1% of the paddy agricultural land, by official account. While marginal indeed is the cultivation of local variety in the delta, it doesn't find inclusion in the season and crop reports where there is some. In the government's view, the format by which crop figures are gathered just isn't for that. That is, even though the state government launched a mission just recently to increase the cultivation of indigenous rice varieties, it lacks up-to-date or historical figures on their cultivation. In Kadalur and Tanjavur, this writer encountered farmers' associations cultivating native varieties. The same is done in Mayiladuthurai in almost 4,000 ha, or 3% of its paddy cultivation, said an official of the Office of the Joint Director, Agriculture, of the district. But according to the season and crop reports, none of these districts produce indigenous types. The Economics and Statistics Department of the state government comes out with a report on the basis of the Revenue Department's reconciled annual records. An official in the Department of Statistics opines that the Adangal format, under which the Revenue Department's village administrative officers, VAOs, record each farm's information, contains a column to note whether the paddy variety is local or high-yielding but not the name of the variety. So this information is not being gathered correctly. VAOs have no idea which varieties are local. Also, if a farm under high-yielding varieties has less area under local varieties, the latter will not get registered, says the official. While the Agriculture Department had sent a letter to the Revenue and Statistics Departments to include names of 37 paddy varieties in the form, no decision has been taken on this so far. Ganesmurthy Muthuswamy, of the Delta-based Mudfield Natural Farms, whose company supports local farmers to raise native rice varieties, blames poor data for reflecting the disconnect on the part of the government with the ground-level reality of local variety farming. Government schemes to encourage native variety cultivation fail to address the important areas such as the training the farmers require, or research to determine local varieties appropriate for various regions of the delta. Similarly, like native rice varieties, millets are also healthy, climate recession-proof crops. But both of these have fallen off not only in the delta, but also throughout Tamil Nadu after the Green Revolution. Only half of Tamil Nadu's districts grow local rice varieties at all now. Even among them, only Namakkal and Nilgiris grow these in more than 5% of their cropped paddy area. Season and crop reports show that the land under these varieties shrank in nearly all districts in the past decade. In the same way, the yield under Jowar, Tamil Nadu's most widely cultivated millet, fell in more than half the districts of the last decade, and also Bajra, the data presented by the Union Agriculture Ministry indicate. Ragi cultivation fell in 2/3 of the districts. Even in the state's leading Bajra grown and Ragi grown districts of Namakkal and Krishnagiri, it fell. Agrahars that produce millets and indigenous rice types better than the delta when it comes to groundwater, soil nutrition and fertilizer application, our analysis indicates. With high-yielding paddy becoming uneconomical, the state government itself has requested delta cultivators to change to less water-intensive crops. But the government did not establish support systems for this shift, and therefore not much has been altered, officialdom and experts say. As the extent of land under cultivation of local rice varieties is limited in Tamil Nadu, we utilized millets as a proxy for them in our analysis due to millets' low fertilizer and water requirement. We then compared 4 districts that cultivate the largest share of millets and local rice varieties in their cultivated area, Dindugul, Namakkal, Karur and Krishnagiri, with the delta districts. Although part of Karur is in the delta, it produces more millet than paddy. The findings indicate these districts consume fewer nitrogen and potassium-based fertilizers compared to the majority of delta districts. No such pattern was evident in the case of phosphorus-based fertilizers either. Nagpattinam and Mayiladuthurai both reported combined values in 2021 to 2022, so our estimate employs the best figure for the 2 districts. Furthermore, millet-growing regions have healthier soils with greater zinc content than delta districts. Millet is also more water efficient. Apart from Karur, These districts also consume less groundwater per cropped hectare than the top water guzzlers of the delta, namely Pudukkottai, Tiruchirappalli and Tanjavur. For instance, Namakkal, which leads in millet local paddy cultivation, consumes a third less groundwater per hectare of its cultivated land than Pudukkottai and Tiruchirappalli, and a fourth less than Tanjavur. Sethuraman, a farmer in the delta, says that Karur's high consumption of groundwater, even though it is a millet-producing district, is due to its partially rocky topography that does not allow Kaveri water to percolate down. Millets are rain-fed here, but most other crops rely on groundwater, he adds. While having a poor yield, locally adapted rice types can bring excellent profits to growers because of high prices in the market and inexpensive farming. However, the little delta farmers that plant indigenous types of rice must do it themselves. They do not enjoy the MSP safety net of high-yielding paddy farmers or other government assistance for rice marketing or transportation. They do not receive any training or information or the advantages of a foolproof organic certification system. Local paddy varieties are generally cultivated on organic fertilizers and pesticides, and their seeds may be reserved for the subsequent season, unlike high-yielding varieties. Local varieties of paddy are normally cultivated with the help of organic fertilizers and pesticides, and their seeds are saved for reuse in the next season, in contrast to high-yielding varieties. Their greatest problem is the sale of local varieties. Farmer Viramni, previously quoted, reports that his sole alternative is selling native varieties to his local acquaintances at suboptimal prices. He retails Karuppu Kavani, black rice variety, at 120 rupees per kg, half of its market price of 200 rupees in Chennai. He is not willing to take the risk of increasing native variety cultivation without marketing channels and depends more on high-yielding varieties cultivated in the remaining portion of his farm. Even with the danger, a small percentage of delta farmers actually plant only native varieties, motivated by mythological green warriors such as Nammajwar and Nel Jayaraman. Ashok Kumar is one such farmer who has produced only drought-resistant native varieties on his farm in water-scarce coastal Nagpattinam. His farm is completely rain-fed and has no chemical inputs. But rather than receiving encouragement for organic farming, he faces a penalty. He receives only 1,600 rupees per 60 kilograms bag of paddy, much less than the market price. A few organic farmers have profited by organizing themselves and encouraging one another in the lack of encouragement from the government. Chidambaram Alluvial Area Agro Products, CAP, a 3-year-old farmer collective in Kadlur, has created a system to train their members, sell their rice on social media, and get a minimum price of 2,000 rupees per bag, higher than what Kumar earns. But these collectives have an uphill task in implementing these systems themselves. And most farmers of native varieties, such as Kumar, are isolated and disorganized within vast areas of high-yielding paddy farms. Local rice varieties also require more processing and transport expenses. While the government buys high-yielding paddy directly, local varieties command premium prices when milled into rice. But they must be processed in different mills, sometimes many kilometers away from farms, incurring more for farmers. It is also difficult to transport rice to individual consumers in far-off places. Muthuswamy of Mudfield Natural Farms, quoted above, says they cannot supply 15% of their potential customers who call from rural areas as parcel services don't reach there. It is no surprise then that farmers cultivating high-yielding paddy are not willing to cultivate indigenous varieties. Ambajgan M, who cultivates high-yielding paddy varieties in his 4-acre field, says switching to local varieties would be too risky. Ambajgan M, who cultivates high-yielding paddy varieties in his 4-acre field, says switching to local varieties would be too risky. In addition, some farmers who attempted to cultivate native varieties have abandoned the effort because they can't afford to let their fields lie fallow during the transition. To practice organic farming, the field must be left vacant for a minimum of 2 years to allow it to recover from chemicals, says Tanjavur farmer M. Thenilavan. This is not possible for him. Identification of local varieties is another issue for organic farmers. Muthuswamy states that supermarket customers are often unable to tell the difference between Karuppu Kavuni and similar-looking hybrid varieties that are less healthy but Rs 30 to 50 per kg cheaper. Hybrids are more economical due to their short crop season and less processing cost. Their processing cost is 10 rupees per kg, while ours is 25 rupees since we have to use a mill that is 50 kilometers away. He adds customers don't trust organic certification as fake certification is prevalent. Local rice varieties also have a market overseas, but farmers can only take advantage of this if record keeping and traceability of the rice to farms are good, according to Dr. K. Ramaswamy, ex-member of the State Planning Commission and ex-Vice Chancellor of Tamil Nadu Agricultural University, TNAU. Apart from indigenous rice, there are already some farmers in clusters of the delta growing other produce such as pulses and vegetables, and these too can gain traction if there is some government incentive in the form of MSP, marketing or transport, he opines. While the state and central governments separately introduced a scheme in recent times to encourage traditional rice types, farmers have alleged that they diagnosed the issue wrongly and thus failed to bring the necessary support to make the local types viable. The state government has been distributing indigenous paddy seeds under the Nel Jayaraman Traditional Paddy Varieties Conservation Mission since 2022. And the union government's Paramparagat Krishi Vikas Yojana provides 5,000 rupees per ha, for a maximum of 2 ha, to farmers who cultivate local varieties of rice. But both these schemes fail to tackle farmers' core issues regarding farming assistance, marketing and logistics. Farmers also gripe that such scheme benefits are minimal compared to what paddy farmers with high yields receive, and that Agriculture Department officials tend to bring ineligible individuals under such schemes so that they can achieve their implementation targets. K. Suresh Kumar, TAP founder, says they do not hope for benefits from schemes as the government has no clarity on organic farming. We are in the process of creating a network of organic farmers in Tamil Nadu so that we will have statistics and can make representations to the government. Meanwhile, TNAU, which is a key player in the state government's agriculture policy formulation, keeps on coming up with newer, high-yielding varieties. According to Dr. M. Ravindran, Director of Research, TNAU, the low yield of indigenous varieties would have an impact on food security. But India's rice production is surplus, its rice exports every year are on the rise, and Tamil Nadu also makes its contribution to the exports. He further states that TNAU now incubates a few startups working on traditional rice varieties through its agribusiness incubation centers, enabling them to propagate the varieties and connect them to the market. Food policy analyst Devinder Sharma states that the most important thing is providing a reasonable price to farmers who convert to organic farming, as per the ANS, the Economics of Ecosystems and Biodiversity (TEEB) methodology. He cites the example of Himachal Pradesh, which has established a supply chain for organic maize and plans to do the same for paddy. Sharma is hopeful organic farming will expand in India. Worldwide, the largest demand for organic food is in India. If nothing changes over the next 20 years, that would imply the consumers have failed. With 34% of greenhouse gas emissions from industrial agriculture, such as rice, governments will also have to take action, he thinks. If things remain as they are, the Kaveri Delta would soon be like the Krishna Delta in Andhra Pradesh, according to economist and water expert Dr. Jankarajan. There, agriculture is nearly dead, and industrialization is taking place. Prawn culture for exports is also posing a threat to the ecosystem. There is land subsidence, and groundwater is 100% saline, he says. Most importantly, my greatest concern regarding Kaveri Delta is jobs and food security. Farmers such as Viramni might just be able to reverse this trend by cultivating more of local paddy or other water-needy crops. But only through systemic reforms by the government can this become a reality. If you enjoyed this analysis, like the video, subscribe, and let's discuss in the comments. Keep curious, keep knowledgeable, and until next time, goodbye and stay safe.